Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
The league is back, but we never went away. It's the warm-up episode 96. It's Brady and Tom. We're previewing the Hull City game, and we're joined by Harrison Nutton. Harrison, welcome to the show. Are you excited to make your debut?
Yeah, I am, especially in the January transfer window. I think if there's one point I wanted to join, it was definitely in the January transfer window. With all the rumours going about, can always be fun and a conversation starter.
Absolutely, and much like the club, we'll take as many extra bodies as we can have at the moment. So you're welcome to the show. Tom, disappointment in the cup. Any positives for Town fans as we return to league action?
Harrison's on for his first pod, but you know what, like you say, in the January transfer window, I feel like there's always more pressure on those players to put a show in. So pressure's on, mate. On the cup, Brady, yeah. Well, it was the cup, wasn't it? Look, I've turned a corner. I'm Mr. Positive. I think we've got a good little run ahead of us. Starting with this Saturday against a couple of teams that we can at least match on ability, I think. So, yeah, bring it on.
I like it. I'm not used to Mr. Positive, Tom. Although we just agree with each other, don't we? Which isn't always the best. You make a point, I'm like, oh, that's a good point, Tom. And you go, yeah, that's a good point, Brady. Apart from the old Boreham Wood saga, as it's going to be known about.
Boring Wood, more like.
Oh, yes. Hashtag send tweet. Right, okay, let's get into this game. So Hull, the Tigers, they sit 16th from the table. I did my best to avoid doing a mauled by the Tigers or, clawing back, whatever. But Hull are 8 points ahead of Town, which is quite surprising, actually, given the 16th. Depends how you feel around the club. But they are in a bit of form, lads. They're unbeaten in the last 5 league games, and they hammered Wigan 4-1 in the last match in the league. However, a crumb of comfort, which I told you, Tom and Harrison, before we recorded, they're actually bottom of the form table for home games in the league, and they've won just once at home in the last 10 league matches. So, Tom, I'll come to you first, actually. What's your thoughts about this one? Because should Town be going there to get a win, or they're in a bit of form? I know they've not got a good record at home. Maybe we should settle for a point. How do you see this one?
I mean, I don't think a point would be bad, to be honest. I think Town should go there with a bit of confidence. I've seen a few Hull fans already mention how they're on a bit of an unbeaten run and they're coming up against one of their bogey teams in Town. So, I mean, these kind of runs don't go on forever if you're down that end of the table, really. On top of that, kind of pretty bad home form, Brady. I think they've not had one clean sheet at home this season yet either, I believe. Something like that stat.
I believe you. I've not checked, but I believe you.
So, yeah, I think Town can go to Hull and think, yeah, we can give it a game, give it a go. I watched a few of their highlights. I thought they seem to, as of recently, rely a lot on getting the ball into the box from wide areas. That seems to where they create stuff. So I think if you kind of snuff that out and our big lads in defence can just head away, win those headers when they're coming in, then you've got a chance to get a draw or even a win, I think, on Saturday.
I like it. You are Mr. Positive. It's good to hear. Harrison, how are you feeling about this one? Do you feel like Town could get something?
I'm less positive. I think when you look at us, I think we have the worst away record going, don't we? Which isn't great. But yeah, I feel like this. It's gonna go 2 ways, isn't it? We performed really well under the pressure against Rotherham, where we really needed a win, and this is another opportunity, I think, where we really need a win. So if we can handle the pressure away from home, we might be all right. But I'm not as positive as Tom.
Oh, well, it's all right. That's what we call balance. So that's good to hear. Harrison, it's actually the same question I asked to everyone who comes on the pod. Depending on which manager we've got in, that's the bit that changes. But
Okay.
what do you kind of make of Mark Fotheringham? Because obviously he's very Marmite, isn't he, among the fan base?
I think he's been unlucky, actually. I think when you look at our injury list, he's probably done okay. I don't think he's done anything outstanding necessarily, but I always, I feel if he had a full set of players all fit, all ready to go, I think it would be much higher at the table. There's been some promising signs, and then there's been some very worrying signs. But yeah, that's my sort of view on it. I think he's been unlucky with the injuries.
Yeah, can't clip that. Can't clip you slagging him off. So that's not going out on social. Damn it. No, well, coming back to this game then, Tom. Hull have a few good players. Obviously, they got taken over. Recently, got a bit of cash. Brought in a few nice ones, I'd say. Who stood out for you as a key player?
Well, I think from because I thought, do you know what, Brady? I thought, come on, Tom, New Year, pull your finger out a bit with this pod and actually do some research. So I actually watched most of their highlights since the Watford game, and I found that Rosenior has obviously got them set up this way now, as getting it out wide, swinging a ball in, and they always seem to have like 3 or 4 lads in the box. Your lad up front is pretty lethal with his head. What's it, Oscar or whatever? The Colombian. But I've gone with Coyle, who's one of the fullbacks, just because he's one of those with a brilliant delivery, and I think that is going to be key for them. Is if they can beat our fullbacks, get a good delivery in, could cause us some trouble. Because I think that's just where the play is going to come from their side of things on Saturday.
Yeah, and he's right. He's the right side. He's right back.
Yeah.
So
right.
Obviously Ruffles and Boyle. We saw in the Luton game.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a weak area. So
yeah.
Look at you doing your research. It's like New Year, new me, Tom.
Isn't
Unreal.
it? People might stop listening.
No, please don't. Harrison, who have you selected from the Tigers?
So I'm not an avid watcher of Hull City, but I saw a consistent starter in their team. And is it Jean-Michael Seri?
Mm-hmm.
Who I remember a few years ago sort of made a big money signing to Fulham, but it never really worked out. And I remember, wasn't he linked to Barcelona at one point?
Yeah.
When he was at Nice, I'm not really sure what happened, but he's found his way to East Yorkshire, hasn't he? But he seems to be a consistent starter. I haven't seen too many highlights of him, but there's probably something about him to be rumoured to go to Barcelona. I also, this is an added one, but I saw Aaron Connolly. Is he there? Or he just joined on loan?
Yeah.
I always wanted him at Town. I always thought he had like a terrier spirit about him whenever I saw him at Brighton. So I don't think he'll start, but he's definitely one to watch out for, maybe off the bench.
Yeah. I again, he was one of those players who I was like, I'd love him at Town, but David Hartrig, Brighton fan, absolutely hates him. So a bit of an interesting one there. I also picked Seri. I think that was a real coup when we signed him in the summer, because when he actually played quite a few games when Fulham got promoted, and again, I was doing my research because I knew Tom's doing his research. We got up ourselves. He's statistically been their best player on average throughout the season. If you look at the stats, if you're into that, and he's just like a solid, consistent midfielder. And God, wouldn't it be nice to have a solid, consistent midfielder, eh, lads? So certainly one to watch out for. But Tom, you spoke to one of the Hull fans, didn't you? Ahead of this one, so we can hear a little bit more, because obviously Rosenior's come in, they picked up a little bit. Do you want to tell us a little bit?
Yeah, I went down to the Deep and caught up with Ant from the Hull podcast. I forgot. To Hull and Back, in it. That's it. Good podcast name. We say that every time, don't we? But yeah, caught up with Ant at the Deep, and that was over a bag of Haribos.
We've lost to a pub side. We've literally lost to a pub side.
Hi mate, thanks for joining us on the podcast. So, how's your season going?
If you'd have asked me this question, at the beginning of November, you'd have got a very different answer. But our season at the minute seems to be taking a turn for the better. We're actually starting to look like we're on the way to achieve the potential that we knew this squad had. Under Shota Arveladze, we were chaotic. We were a disorganised mess. We would lose heavily every game, create next to nothing. It was a very bad period for us, especially considering, he was apparently brought in to bring us exciting attacking football, and we brought in loads of attacking players in the summer window, and if anything, actually got worse at attacking. So yeah, it was a very strange start to the season. And obviously Andy Dawson came in temporary charge after his sacking and sort of brought in some stability, brought some players back in from the cold like Greg Docherty. And now Rosini is back, and we've only lost once under his stewardship. I think it's one loss in 8 games, 7 unbeaten away, winning 5 of those. We seem to be in good form at the minute, and we're hard to beat. We draw a few games at the minute, but those draws were losses under Shota, so we're making progress in that sense. And like I said, we're conceding far less, scoring a lot more, looking organised, playing out from the back, starting to look like a team that understands their roles, aims, and some partnerships are forming now, and Ceri's really starting to flourish in the midfield like we thought he would do when we first signed him. Cyrus Christie's been amazing. It's looking good at the minute.
Who's a standout player for you so far?
Standout player would be hard to pick, really. I think obviously Oscar Estepinion's our top scorer on 11 goals, but his first 8 were scored in literally 3 or 4 games, and he went a long period without scoring. And now he's starting to score consecutively in 1 goal a game at the minute. So he's starting to find his feet again, get back in form, and he would be an obvious answer to this question. But performance-wise, he doesn't really stand out, and I'm going to go for Jacob Greaves. He's a ball-playing centre-half. You won't find a City fan that doesn't rave about this guy. Local lad from Hull. We all love him. But he's sort of been moved under Rosini into left-back. So he's playing like a Dan Burn role, where he's, quite a tall centre-back that's doing the job in the full-back position. But he's showing that he's very good at getting forward. He's quick, he's strong, got a good delivery on him, and he's getting amongst the goals this season. So Jacob Greaves, at the minute, whilst Coyle doesn't start games because of Christie's form, he's got the captain's armband, and he's really leading by example at the minute. So I'm going to go Jacob Greaves.
And what's your score prediction against Town?
Oh, I'm the worst person to ask for a prediction for Hull City against Huddersfield, because you are our bogey team, and no matter how optimistic or positive I try to be before our games, it just never ever turns out that way. Especially when you're playing poorly, you seem to beat us easily. It's just a very frustrating sequence of results against you guys, where we just fail to turn up whatsoever and lose 2 or 3-0. No matter how poor your season appears to be, we just always get turned over. So the realist in me is saying, we've got the worst home record in the league this season, and Huddersfield are our bogey team, so it should be a loss. But I'm trying to find a way that our home form has to turn around at some point, and this could be the game. I just think that one win at home, maybe with a clean sheet as well, just to turn the form around. Because if we were decent at home, we'd be in the top 10. So I'm going to go with a 1-0 Hull City win. Cagey affair, set piece, dodgy goal, something like that. But I wouldn't be thoroughly surprised if you went 2 or 3-0 the other way.
Thank you. Bye.
And you went to the deep, you went fishing for answers, and you got them, didn't you?
So Brady, now I expect you to put on behind the chatter some bubbles and, I don't know, shark noises and things like that. The shark make noises?
We're not the QI podcast, mate, so Google it. But yeah, I remember you saying he said apologies for Peppa Pig in the background. That might be a pod first, actually.
Yeah, that was it, actually. Yeah, Peppa Pig was there. Forgot about that.
Well, a lot to happen. In fact, I need to compose myself. So why don't we take a break and we'll come back and we'll do the mailbag. Okay, we're back. It is time to answer your questions. So let's get stuck into the mailbag.
You've got mail.
Okay, so first question was from, listeners will be familiar with this name. And I liked it because it gave me an opportunity to expand into a talking point. James Whitaker, he asked, how many goals will Canberra get for the Mighty Terriers? Tom, obviously we're in a WhatsApp group and I'm going to do that classic thing they do on podcasts where it's like, oh, I have friends, we talk in WhatsApp groups. I said to Matt, watch Canberra score in the Cup. What did he do? He scored in the Cup. Didn't have the best game, but hey, he scored on his debut. What do you think, Tom? I know he's not the most exciting signing on paper, but fair play, he scored on his debut already.
Brady scored, right? And when he scored, I thought, oh, great. Wow. Well, could he? Because he's obviously got something there. He wouldn't be a professional footballer, would he? At the end of the day, he's a striker. And I thought, oh, maybe this is what he's needed. He needed a coach who he's used to or knows. And the celebration said it all, didn't he? Running straight over to him. I think maybe having a coach that might believe in him or something. And I thought, oh, fair enough. But then it was the miss that came after it where he pulled back to him and it's basically an open goal and he hits it straight at the defender on the line. I mean, he literally just had to go anywhere else, didn't he? And he had enough time to compose himself. And that was the worrying sign for me that the goal was good. He took that quickly. Maybe that's the only thing that's a good thing in his game is the quick reaction, getting the ball down quickly, taking a shot. Maybe when he's got to think about it a bit more, he comes under the pressure. So I don't know. What was the question? How many goals do you think he'll score this season?
Yeah,
I'll say if he scores 5 goals, I'll be impressed with him. I'll be pleased with that for half a season.
Yeah, I mean, not to stick up for him, but as well, like not match fit as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes out. I appreciate it's not the most exciting signing. Harrison, what your kind of thoughts on Canberra? Do you think he'll score a few for town?
No, I don't. after that miss, it was like after missing that, it's like what Jordan Rose doesn't miss that. There's no way. That's in the back of the net, and I've seen highlights of him, and I was like, what does he bring that Ward and Rhodes don't bring? And I can answer it. He doesn't seem to have masses of pace. If he gets 5 goals, Tom, then I'll be very impressed. If I'm honest.
Okay, I mean, again, small sample size, but because it's only until the end of the season, isn't it? So I wonder if because Ward. Again, we've said like we don't think Ward looks fit. I wonder if it's just basically do similar to what Ward does until the end of the season.
Yeah.
But we'll see. At least he scored, mate. We've been crying out for strikers who scored. I know Rhodes has hit a bit of form, so let's give the man a chance, shall we? Next question. Colfans asks, are we getting mauled by the Tigers this weekend? Well, we kind of talked about that. I think if we were going to get... I don't see us getting thrashed. Famous last words. We can clip this we've been quite close in games. We've not really. I don't think we've lost by 2 goal. Oh no, 2 goal margin. Maybe the Sunderland game. That's the only game I can think of in bothering.
That 3-1, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Watford
2-0.
Yeah.
2-0. But not a 3 goal margin.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I think there's a chance we could lose the game, but I don't think we'll get mauled. Tom, do you agree?
Agree there, Brady. Yeah. I think if we can force them to play this game in the middle of the pitch, kind of stop them from getting that ball out wide, and then because they really did push players forward, I think you can have them on the counter attack. I think Town have got a chance. Famous last words, clip this, whatever. But I do think Town have got a chance on Saturday.
Good. Harrison, are you in agreement, or do you think they're going to be
I don't. I can't see us getting mauled, but I can see a 2-1 or a 1-1 maybe. Like you say, I think we both playing a similar style and getting it out wide and crossing it in. So it'll be a battle of the wings, I think, more than in the centre.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go, Colton. So your question has been answered. Danny Smith asks, who's picking the team for Hull? I think that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. What, Harrison, you laughed. I don't know. What do you make of that? I think, to anger maybe the more vocal on Twitter, I think that was a bit of a storm in a teacup. It was just like the Japanese centre-back comment all over again. It was just like people wanted to misinterpret it and kick off. But
well, yeah, he seemed to do 2 interviews, didn't he? One at the time, and they were very similar answers. And I think he corrected it more on the second one. I think he probably maybe thought about what he said, maybe regretted it a bit. I don't know. It doesn't look great, does it, as your manager to be causing gossip or rumours? Because that's what you're doing, aren't you? You don't say that stuff. I don't know. Unless it was a genuine mistake, it doesn't look good, I don't think. He has said some stuff in the past where it's a little bit questionable. Maybe it was a mistake out of frustration. He seems to get frustrated quite easily sometimes. But he seemed to correct it in the second interview he did.
Yeah. Tom, what are your thoughts? I would say this, I wouldn't mess with Fov if I was interviewing him.
Yeah.
He'd like me one.
It's an interesting one because it's all hearsay, Brady, so I don't want to be making any strong assumptions, but there has been rumours.
This is what it's for, Tom. Strong assumptions.
I love the gossip. I love the gossip.
There's been rumours about that though, hasn't there? Even under Carlos, there was rumours about that kind of thing, as like they're brought in simply to coach this set of players, which fair enough, but it was a very interesting comment, and the way he phrased it. It's really interesting seeing the progression of Fotheringham in it over quite a short period of time. I remember that first few interviews, he was very pally, friendly, and his voice was quite calming. Everything's got a bit more serious now. I think, yeah, maybe he feels like we can do it, and that's why he's getting a bit annoyed at the moment. Whereas before, maybe he came in thinking, "God's no hope in hell of us doing anything here." So I don't know. He's a very interesting man, though. Do you know what? I actually quite like him. To be fair, I don't think I feel like I've got to say that because I feel like quite a few people don't say it or don't like him, and I'm warming to him more and more.
He's certainly well done you for saying that. He's an interesting guy, and I don't know, he says some interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I still think the funniest thing was when we beat Hull 2-0? I think it was that game, and he said he celebrated in the next press conference by being in the dark because his kid was trying to get to sleep, but it's just like it's such odd.
The whole family was sat in the dark, quiet, because one of the kids was asleep.
I don't know. I think it's like, well, again, obvious thing to say, but you want the town manager to do well, don't you? So you're rooting for him. Yeah. So fair enough. Another question about Fotheringham. Marcus Bowler asks, "What do you think Fotheringham?" This was Marcus. This was a little bit hard to interpret, so I'll do my best here. But Marcus says, "What do you think Mark Fotheringham has to do with town?" Marcus seems to think he has to look at his own decisions, not just the players, and bulk the left side of the defence and midfield. And then he asks us, are there any additional signings or recalls we choose? Well, Tom, speaking of recalls, luckily, just before we were recording... Breaking news, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I did see this question, and I know what he means, Brady. He means what does Fotheringham have to do to basically keep up, doesn't it? And we've said it a few times, Brady. I mean, Matt had his conch for Karoma before. I don't know what we've got as horn for high.
No. We can't have horn for high. Maybe we can. I remember...
As soon as I said that, I thought that sounds risky.
No, I remember. Sorry, side point. I remember Johnny, who does the Middlesbrough podcast, the Borough Breakdown. I remember when they had Warnock in charge. His hashtag was horny for Warnock. So maybe we can have horn for high.
But yeah, Scott High's been recalled. So's Reg, and so has, surprisingly, I did say last week that I would welcome him back for half a season just as another body, Josh Koroma. Interesting, isn't it? I mean, I feel like we should have had Hyde the whole season. Great utility player at this level. End of the day, it was stupid having him at a now relegation rival. Maybe, I mean, obviously we didn't think that was going to be the case at the start of the season. Reg as well, good utility player. Koroma's interesting. I wonder if Fotheringham will give him a chance or they'll send him back out on loan. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Another rumour, it's full of gossip and rumours this podcast tonight, is obviously Lee Nichols. Is he injured? Isn't he injured? And anyway, we probably do need to bring in a more experienced second goalkeeper when you look at it. So I'd put that on the list as well. And then what is supposedly happening, a lot of paper talk about it, Anthony Knockaert. I mean, I think someone who's he might not have the legs anymore, but you stick him in the box, he's going to score goals. So I think you've almost got the list is looking all right at what you're getting in. Just whether it's going to work.
Yeah, I think it's, well, like we touched on a million times with the recalls, just to have options. I think Reg has shown he can do okay at this level. He's a bit inconsistent, but I think he was certainly doing well in League One. Might need him if the season doesn't pan out well. But obviously we do always ring the horn. Blow the horn? No, let's say ring the horn. We always blow the horn. Ring the horn for Scott High. And I kind of agree with you with Koroma. I think with these as well, like it's the same with recalling Hudlin. Like Hudlin was in a B team game. I think Fotheringham just probably wants to have a look at him, and he can always send him back out on loan if he doesn't fancy him. So,
and you've got Headley back as well. Throw that in the mix. Left back coming back. Interesting, very interesting. Harrogate fans gutted he's left. So maybe they're thinking because we're that's where we're crying for at the moment, really, aren't we?
Yeah, he'll probably have a look at him, but I can probably see us going for a left back. I just think, but we'll see. And obviously touching on the rumours about Nichols, obviously nothing's been confirmed, but I think if he is out for a bit, this is no disrespect to Billy Capich, but I think you probably need an experienced player, keeper in on loan. It's one of them positions where it's weird because obviously I thought signing Jamal Blackman when we had him last season, like just keeping him made a lot of sense. But obviously he's starting for Exeter. Yeah. It's one of them positions that actually like it is easy to get. It's not like, so I think if we had to say Nichols is out for a bit and we had to go and get someone from temporary, I think that's actually quite easy. It's just maybe more long term. But obviously that would be looking at Harrison. Sorry, we've done a lot of rambling. What do you kind of think?
Can you just repeat what he meant by the question? Is it sort of like what sort of plan is it? What sort of plan is Fotheringham got for the rest of the season?
I think so. Yeah. So I'll say it again because me and Tom just talked about signings and recalls because that's more exciting. But Marcus said, "What do you think Fotheringham has to do with Town?" Marcus seems to think he has to look at his own decisions, not just the players, and bulk the left side of defence and midfield.
I understand what he means by the left-hand side of the midfield. It does look weak, and I see he obviously tried to put Kesler Hayden out on the left, didn't he? He tried that for the cup match. So obviously he tried to bulk it out that way. I don't think it was that effective. I like Boyle. I worry about. I don't know really. It's kind of a tough one to I'm not the manager, so it's quite tough to know. There's a reason for that, clearly, because I'm struggling to answer it. But let's look at some loan signings, maybe a keeper, maybe a left-sided centre back. But yeah, let's see what happens.
I mean, here's one for you lads. If we're I'm gonna call this the rumours podcast. Maybe we should Photoshop me and you, Tom, on the Fleetwood Mac album cover.
Yeah, nice one.
But rumours Harry Toffolo might be available for loan. I mean,
he's not coming back here, mate.
He's not, but I'd love him back, and I think it's what we need.
Yeah.
Well, would you take him, Tom? I assume the answer is yes.
Yeah, definitely. But I've seen people say, no, Brian might be. They're not coming back here, are they? Sorry. They're not coming back here, the state we're in, position we're in. I doubt.
What happened to Mr. Positivity? What if they want to do a Jonas Lossell and rescue us?
Oh, yeah, maybe then. Maybe they feel a bit guilty about ditching us then, I guess.
Ditching us because a club came in and paid money for him.
Yeah, no. Well, they only go together, don't they? So
that's true. That's very true.
Maybe Mr. West Brom.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Anyway, we'll move on to You're the Boss. Harrison, first question I ask all the guests. Obviously, we're going to ask you about your lineup and what you do in charge, but if you were in charge of Town on Saturday, what's your managerial attire? How are you going to dress for the occasion?
Ooh, I'm going to go full-on suit, I think. You'll only ever get one opportunity to manage Town, and you've got to make the most of it. So, full suit and tie, I am.
Nice. In club badge embroidered or just normal suit?
Maybe like a nice dark one, like a faded in one. So it's not obvious, but it's nice and subtle.
Oh, I like it as well. Cool. Okay, so lineup. So obviously it was the cup game, so we'd expect some rotation. But against Preston, Town lined up in a 3-4-3. So you had Bilikapic, Lees, Helic, and Aina. Loughton, Kasumu, Kamara, Kesler Hayden. And then your three was Thomas, Simpson, and Rodoni. Harrison, I feel like I'm really testing you in your debut, but how would you line up Town for this one? Obviously, we don't know team news, and we talked on Nichols, but let's assume Nichols is fit. Yeah. How would you line it?
Well, then, of course, it would be Nichols. There's no question in that. I'd then go Loughton. I feel he had a solid game, an experienced head against a must-win game. And then Lees, Helic and Boyle. I don't think we have that much more option in the centre-back area. It's sort of a standard three at the minute. And then I've actually gone for Headley. Okay. Yeah, like I say, Kane, Kesler, Hayden. He wasn't that effective on the left, I felt. Harrogate fans go on about him. He's been one of the outstanding players of the season. So I want to see what he's got about him. I've gone for Hogg, standard, I feel, at the minute, if he's fit. And then I've gone for Kamara. I didn't think Kasumu had a great game in the cup game. I feel he was the reason for 2 of the goals we conceded. So I've gone for Quaner there. I've gone for Rodoni because I feel his set pieces at the minute and the way he's playing is better than Sorba Thomas. And then Holmes, I really like Holmes. I feel like fans are 50-50 about him, but I feel like he does put the work in and he can come up with something special sometimes. And then Hull have the worst home record. They've conceded. They've conceded every game they've had at home this season, is it? So I put Rhodes up front because we want him to get them 100 goals for the club.
Nice. I like it a lot. Tom, what about yourself? Are you making many changes to that?
Not really. I think I would put Kasumu in personally. I think Kasumu and Hogg worked well together against Preston away. I really like that partnership. And I think another away game where you're going to be more likely playing on the counter and stuff, have those two, have a very experienced lad in there and have another lad who's got more game time under his belt than Kamara. Kamara's great to bring on, and because, well, Kamara for me is looking better than Philip Billing did on the ball and stuff. I think Kamara is going to be a very good player. Yeah, and then I think exactly the same as Harrison. I like the idea of putting Headley in. I do. It's probably not going to happen.
It might be too soon.
I just feel it's Ruffles. He's just not very good at defending. Sorry if you're listening, Ruffles. But yeah, that's just worrying how the problems come down that side, don't they? I'd like to see Simpson on in this game at some point. Maybe not starting, but come on, because I think a few of their goals that they've conceded have come from if we can take a lead and they're chasing a game, and to have someone on up front who's fast and can knock people off the ball could be very handy. So yeah, Brady got a chance. Trust me, got a chance.
No, I like it. Yeah, I mean, same for me. Like, not many changes. I think I probably would give Kessel Hayden another game just because that wasn't on the left, just because it wasn't the first team, and I think Holmes, can cover quite well there as well if he wants to get forward. And I think I'd put Lowton on the right. I think we need that experience, and Redoni, for me, keeps his place. And actually, Thomas is on the bench for me. But yeah, Rhodes up front. I think you're right. Like, Simpson could be useful. I think probably see Kambiri in this as well. Come on. So yeah, it's quite solid, really. It's interesting, isn't it, how the team sheets change? But you got Lowton in there, and if you have Lowton, Hogg, Lees, Hellick, they're all quite experienced lads. Yeah. So it suddenly looks a lot more solid, really. But yeah, we'll come on to the match predictions then. What's your score prediction? How do you see the game going, Harrison?
I'm usually so hopeful. I'm going to go for a 1-1. I think it's going to be a tight affair. Both attacking the wings. It will come down to a set piece or a cross in the box, and it lands to the right person. I think it'll be a 1-1.
Nice. Who, if you had to guess the scorer? Not that we keep track of it, but
Rhodes. It'd have to be Rhodes.
Nice. Yeah. Tom, did you go 1-1? Did you go? I think you're predicting.
I'm predicting a 2-0 win to Town, Brady. I'm gonna say we'll get a goal in the first half, see it out 1-0 at half time. They'll come out chasing. Our defenders will put in one hell of a performance. And we'll get a late one on the break and see it out 2-0. Rhodes to score that first half goal, and let's have maybe Sorba comes on and gets a goal. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'd love that to happen. I'm like you, though, Harrison. I went 1-1. I just think we've not got a great record, and a point would actually be quite good because they're in a bit of form. And
yep.
We keep saying this every week, Tom, but I think Redoni's been playing very well, and I fancy him to get his first goal because I think I feel like I'm Mark Fotheringham, but I can see him taking off.
Brady, if you, I know you're nowhere near going to have the time to do this, but I wish you could put in every clip where we have said, and I think Redoni will get his first goal this weekend because we're
just trying to will it into existence, mate. I have my bad takes. It's like when I thought Yaya Sanogo would be actually quite good for us, and I'm still adamant if he'd scored that penalty, things could have been a lot different.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on because we've got an exciting new feature. It's time for Quaner's question.
A few things change, but also a lot of things are still the same.
Genuinely loved all the stories that came through for the question of the week for Quaner's question. They were lovely, and do you know what? It cheered us right up because it's not been going so well this season, I think, let's be fair. So the question we asked to you, and we've picked some of the best ones, was the weirdest place you've met a Town player. So we got some interesting entries, and there was quite a few that were like players in Asda and outside Leeds Road, which is maybe not the weirdest, but we enjoyed them nonetheless. So I picked a couple here. Tom, you can say a few because I know you retweeted quite a few, but so I'll read out some and then I'll ask you chaps for yours as well. So Mr. Whitaker said, I met a town employee while I was doing doing marathon training run on Leeds Road. He was pulling out the garage near Canalside and he stopped his car. He saw my town shorts and wound down his window and asked how I am. Turned out it was David Wagner. That was I like that.
Good.
I also enjoyed this one, Tom, and I feel this is up your street. Sundan Kid 96 said he met Adnan Ahmed at the Tibbs Shelf service station about 5 years ago. Just like that, random.
Yeah, that's good. That is good.
And another one to Andy Kay. Obviously, yeah, he's been on the pod before, but I enjoyed this. Stood next to Frank Worthington at the urinals at Ellen Cricket Club whilst attending a charity dinner. Didn't look, and nor did he. I think that's what sealed it for me. We also got this one from Lee Morris. He said Lee Fowler in Ibiza 2006. We kept bumping into him in really random places, and it got to the point where it looked like we were stalking him. And Tom, why did we enjoy this as well? Because who liked it?
Lee Fowler liked that tweet, and it wasn't even like Lee tagged him in it. He just so here's the thing: Lee Fowler must search himself on Twitter, search his name on Twitter, or follow the podcast. To be fair, Brady, but yeah, I did find that hilarious that it popped up that Lee Fowler likes his tweet, and Lee's my mate, but I'd be a bit worried if I kept bumping into him around Ibiza, to be fair.
What I'd really love to be, like, I'd love to be a fly on the wall, because, like, you know, obviously Lee Fowler liked it, but does he remember that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Again, some of the other ones we got, Johnny Foster said, Kevin Sharp knows a girl I was seeing and I saw him out in the bar in Leeds. She told him I was a town fan and his response was, oh, I was shit for them. Which I respect the honesty. Tom, I think I've said this on the pod before, but a friend of mine met Alan Lee, I think after he'd left town, and he'd had a bit to drink, and he I was chatting to him, and Alan Lee said, I know I was shit, but at least I tried, which makes me feel a little bit sad.
That's why I loved him.
Yeah. But we got loads of great responses. I'm trying to find the one, but there was I forget the name. I'll retweet it on the pod account. But someone, Ife Anura, was chatting up his wife. That made me laugh as well.
Yeah, there was some really good ones, Brady. I think I had a couple that stood out for me. So some of the brief and short ones I loved. So Dan Jackson, just 4 words: Pavel Abbott maternity ward. Interesting.
Nice. Yeah, want to know more.
Was he delivering the baby? Was he having a baby? Was he just hanging around? Does he just like the smell of freshly born children? That's how he got his,
sorry.
That's how he got his goal scoring power. The fountain of youth.
It was Fred Server who said if Nora was trying to chat his wife up.
Nice.
And then he came back and said, "Hello, Iffy. I've seen you've met my wife," which is great. Sorry, Tom. What were your asks?
I was trying to think of some others. I like. There was one. Someone put one about getting a lift home with Gary Taylor Fletcher somewhere, which I thought was interesting, but I can't. I only just saw that the other day and I can't find it again. Oh yeah.
Oh, I've seen that. That's
James.
James. Yeah.
Says once got a lift home from work with Gary Taylor Fletcher. Lovely guy. I was also sick in his toilet after jugs of vodka Red Bull in varsity. Interesting.
I want to know more about that, James. We need you to expand on that. Yeah, no, some absolutely great ones. I also enjoyed.
Actually, shout out to Tom Herb, who met Colin Quaner in Manchester Airport. So that's pretty special, isn't it? Quaner's question and all that.
Absolutely. Also, Smile a While. So Sean, he met Nathan Clark in his cottage at the time in Honley. We were discussing a fish tank that caused damage to a window ledge. He was my landlord. I got my deposit back in full, and he went back to Leighton Orient the next day. Fair play. So lads, I'll ask you then. Actually, Harrison, where's the weirdest place you've met a town player in the wild?
So I've only had one encounter actually meeting a town player, and that was I was at university in Nottingham, and this was early hours of the morning in a nightclub, and I looked across the dance floor and I saw Joe Lolly there standing by himself, and I'm not one to go speak to players, but I'd had a few beers, and I think there were a few drunken slurs. Oh, well, I love you. You're my favorite town player, and all that. And I'm pretty sure he was stone cold sober.
Oh, really?
He looked like he looked stone cold sober.
Was he at Forest at this point, Harrison?
Yeah, he was, which made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Was he receptive to you, like? Or
I think it was like, yeah, all right, it was just sort
all
of
right, mate.
Anyway, I've got to go. Make a fool of myself. I can't remember.
We've all done that.
I can't remember what I said to him.
Lovely. Tom, what about you? I think you tweeted yours, didn't you?
I did. Ian Bennett, whilst I was at Loughborough University, I was helping out on an open day. As you know, I'm a artiste, a drawer.
What?
Yeah, and I was doing an open day at the arts department, and I was like, I just stood there, and I was like, I swear I recognise that guy. I was like, oh, fucking hell, it's Ian Bennett. I was like, right, Ian. And he's like, yeah, because obviously didn't have a name tag on or anything. I was like, oh, I'm a town fan. He's like, oh, I think we just ended up talking about the Lee Clark years and stuff, which was quite funny. He was there looking for his daughter was looking at Loughborough as an option, I think. He wasn't just hanging around Loughborough University art department. That's it. Brady, do you have one?
Yeah, so I have two. One's not that exciting. I think I've said it on the pod before, but so my parents got like a deal for the Ivy in Leeds, and I went, and as I was coming out the loo, Alex Pritchard was walking in.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, we did a double take, and I was like, oh, you're right, mate. So, yeah. But that's not that good. But however, I went for I'm pretty sure it was Boxing Day a few years ago. I went to the Cinnamon Lounge in Emley for a curry, and Christopher Schindler was there in his full town get up. So I had a little chat with the man. And I'll tweet the picture out afterwards, because I've got the most awkward. I had a Vindaloo and it was fucking boiling. So I was like, oh, I'm like so red. And I think I've done the classic, like, not sure what to do with my hand. So it's like half in my jean pocket. So it just I look incredibly awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
I think he got
oh yeah, go on.
At Simon Grayson, I was at a Pigeon Detectives gig, and Simon Grayson was there.
That is great. Was he proper raving along?
I feel like, I can't remember if he was still Leeds manager then, though, because they basically, Pigeon Detectives knew he was there, and they were like, oh, Simon Grayson's here, and everyone cheered. So it might have been. I feel like I cheered though, so it might have been when he was at town. But yeah, that was it. I think he had he's got a pretty decent taste in music, Simon Grayson. He goes to a lot of gigs apparently. Yeah. Can I mention one more that we didn't mention, Brady?
Yeah,
which I think was great, and it comes from the oracle that is Matt Shaw. It's very funny, this one. So Matt put Nathan Clark at Showcase Cinema Birstall. He was going to watch How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I bit my tongue considering the man he was marking had scored twice that weekend.
Brilliant. And that's a good way to close it. And we honestly, Quaner's question, so it's going to, I should have said at the top, it's going to alternate between that and the amazing elbow. So we've got some weird and wonderful questions lined up. So thanks to everyone who took part. That was great. And I think that'll do us for this week. So thanks to Tom and Harrison for coming on. Thanks to you all for listening. Thanks to Magic Rock for sponsoring. Me and Tom are both drinking some Magic Rock as we record this. I'm going to say as well, because you're doing Dry January, Magic Rock actually very kindly sent me a hat, which you may see in the podcast clips. But they also sent me the Free Ride, which is their alcohol-free pale ale, and it's rather nice Citra pale ale. So
and if you're not doing dry January, I'm drinking the Astrophilia, and that is an 8.3%.
to do the office quote, different drinks, different needs. So yeah, and don't forget you can get 10% off all online orders with the code AHTTC10. So make sure to use that code. Use it or lose it. Except you won't lose it, but use it. Save yourself some money. What are you doing? Right, okay. We'll shut up. We'll be back to preview the game next week, and to tar for now, and up the town.
Up the town.
Up the town.
So town play up, bring the car back to her.